Hello and welcome back to Eden Fractal. Today is May 7th, 2026, and we're returning from our spring break. We were just catching up a little bit before we started recording. Tadas was sharing that he got a good rest over the break, and Zaal was sharing a lot of cool stuff that he's been up to with Zaal Fractal and software development. So now we're here after, 5 weeks, something like that we took a break, and I think it's our 138th event. So we don't have any formal discussion topics. I did have a little screen share I could share, which shows a tweet that welcomes everybody back. Basically, with the Eden creators, we put out a message saying that we hope everybody had an amazing break and excited to reconnect and stuff like that. So if it's useful, guys, then I can bring up that and go through a little bit of the kind of introduction and maybe revisit where we were last time. But if you guys want to just continue that discussion we were having, we're kind of catching up and seeing what we're up to over the break, we can. Or today we'll have a respect game in about 53 minutes or so we can share our contributions then and earn some respect. So that would be good to get back to playing the respect game once again. And then, we're up to a lot of great stuff prior to the break in our first half of season 12. So we can revisit some of those things. And this week we don't have any sort of formal agenda. So what would you guys like to discuss? Tadas, Zaal, thanks for being here and curious to hear what is on your minds.
Well, I'd love to know if and what progress you may have made on the nonprofit over the break. Would love to hear a status update on that, because I would love to have a more clear place to share about fractals. And I think leveling up the nonprofit, getting involved myself in that is one of the best ways to do that and start thinking about fractal templating as opposed to my specific fractal and continuing forward with that.
Yeah, I briefly shared my what I've been up to over the break. Nothing. I'll share it now. It's your turn.
No, sometimes you need that, exactly. It's super important, so that's awesome to hear, Tadas. I'm excited to see what energy you come with.
No, I actually were able to complete a lot of non-fractal related errands, which I like to, when I focus on something, I like to focus strictly on that. Either all in or not at all. So yeah, it was a good time to do some of the stuff that does not require as much.
All right, nice. Glad to hear that you got those non-fractal errands done, and it seems like you're gearing up to be ready to go full-on fractal again soon, and get back into build mode perhaps, or grow mode, depending on how we want to phrase it. At some point, maybe, Zaal, if you want to share more about things you're working on, because you shared some really good stuff before we start recording, then feel free as well, because I'm sure, there's several things I could ask you about, and I'd be curious to hear about it, and that'd be good to check in, but we can also do it during the respect game too. And I haven't really shared any updates, so I suppose I can go ahead now and talk about the nonprofit as well as what I did over the break. So I, like Tadas, got a lot of things done that were non-fractal related, which was nice, and I took some rest. So that was good, and so I'm very happy about that. It was a good break overall. I enjoyed it a lot, and made a lot of progress on a lot of personal stuff, basically. I did still work on fractal stuff a lot, too, over the break. I learned a lot about nonprofit stuff. I did not achieve my goal of starting the nonprofit over the break, but I made a lot of progress. I organized a lot of the documents I need to get in order for that, and project management and different projects and tasks. I have much more well organized now, so I'm aiming to do that in the next this month, in the next week or two. The past week I've been getting really into, thanks to the applause, Zaal, I appreciate it. I've also studied AI a lot over the break too, and the past week I started using Notion AI a lot, and I started to organize a lot of things there, and that's been really good. So kind of improving my whole kind of task and project and knowledge management system, because I was getting kind of overwhelmed previously, where I had this kind of old, outdated task and project management system where I had like all these tabs open all the time, and like I had a tough time following it, and I tried using it in Notion to organize it, but I found that just getting a better system to organize all the different tasks and projects and stuff like that. Thanks, Zaal, for all the emojis.
I think it's actually really important, that side of things. People like the taking a step back and building leverage and being able to use your time better, even though the initial time it takes to build those systems, the R&D part of it, isn't actually moving you towards your goal. Anything you do in the future that moves you towards your goal is a lot more efficient, and I think that's super powerful. So it's awesome to hear that you use the break for something like that, because I think it's really hard during the week when you have these traditional to-dos and you have to knock them out to be able to take a step back and do the R&D thing. So cool to hear that you were doing that. I would love to know, whether it's now or one-on-one or in the future, a little bit more about AI workflows. One of the things I would love to host is different people in our mutual communities in different ways sharing what they do with AI and how they're using different tooling, because I think everyone has their own way of leveraging some of these tools, and it's all about knowing what is comfortable for you, but also what other people are using and why they're using it. So I think a specific session around how you are using Notion AI for Fractal project organization could be a really powerful hour, even if it's just during our town halls. So, yeah.
Yeah, thanks for the feedback and support, Zaal. I appreciate it a lot, and I'm happy to share more about the AI workflows I've been learning about and project and task management workflows I'm learning about. I'm very excited about it, and I do see it like how it can definitely help fractals. I'm aiming to both improve my system as well as improve systems that can help Eden Fractal and then all fractals as well. I think that a lot of the things that one person or one fractal can also be benefiting many other and kind of like creating templates for fractal communities in a way. Actually, Tadas, while I was over the break, I know that I suppose at some point early in the break you must have awakened from your hibernation and your relaxation to make some updates to ORDAO. I think it was earlier in the break that you improved the ORDAO documentation, and that
in my eyes it was right before the break. I think we break after that. Like the week after the last month or so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I read through a lot of that, and then I noticed that you shared, like in that ORDAO repository, I think the newer one, you explained how you were building ORDAO with clean architecture, and that kind of led me on a little bit of a wormhole to learn about what clean architecture was, and then I learned about other kinds of software development design principles. I started learning a bit about domain-driven design and these different kinds of things. Thanks for the applause. It's awesome. I'm glad you like that. And yeah, thanks for sharing that. That was like really insightful. And it makes sense. I think it's very aligned with like the principles of fractals that we're building with, like this kind of composability between different parts and this kind of independence of each part. And also, I really appreciate that you've been building with this mindset. I don't know when you learned those principles, but I suppose it has probably been like kind of ingrained into your building for some time, and it makes sense now more to me now that you explained it, and I can see the different parts and how they play together, like with like the UI and the front end and the smart contracts and the OR node and all these different aspects of it. It's really nice to see the architecture, and that inspired me because I was also learning a lot about software development over the break too, and like kind of like going back to some of the basics of things that I never fully understood about software development that was going along with the AI, like software development and kind of like system administration, like learning how to operate computers and deploy apps and stuff like that, and like basically also privacy and security practices. I learned a lot about that over the break, and then I took a lot of the learnings or a lot of things from a clean architecture inspired me to like design my kind of project and acknowledgement system using AI kind of like as a fundamental principle or fundamental like catalyzer now to help it be improved, and design these systems from like the ground up in a first principle way with these kinds of like clean architecture kind of things, porting that from software development to like just knowledge management in general, taking the principles that apply to both. So those are some of the things I've been doing as well. And I'm curious if Tadashi, you have any thoughts about that? It seems like you were pretty inspired by the clean architecture stuff. Also, welcome, Joseph, too. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're doing well.
Hi, Joseph. Yeah, so I'm really excited that you're like, I don't know, I for me, those software development patterns, you can find beauty in that. It's like
do you guys want to give us or anyone else who's listening a little more context on those software development things, or if you have a link that you want to reshare to us, because I'm actually really interested in this, because it's something that I've been working on software personally, like kind of from scratch, and like understanding best practices as I'm going versus like knowing it at the start can be very powerful. Plus, like any and all resources, I have been recently finding that tossing it through my AI to at least research can always be powerful if I want to like come back to that in the future, or just be like, hey, start using some of these best practices, because like I don't know what I'm doing, but being able to have best practices from other individuals who do know what they're doing and make sure my AI is at least aware that that is important can be very powerful in not having to repeat the same thing over and over, where it might be something you see and you could fix in less than a minute, but I'm running, at a roadblock for 8 hours because of it. So yeah, would love any and all additional contact.
Yeah, I dropped one link about clean architecture. A while ago, I have found more general resource about software development patterns in general. It's basically something, a template you can apply, a type of solution you can apply to a class of problems. And for me, like I was saying, you can find beauty in that. It's like in physical architecture, you can find beauty, and it's also functional the same way you can find beauty in those software architecture. And yeah, I've always been interested in reading about that. And the clean architecture thing, I actually learned about that in university, but I've been learning about development patterns before that. And it's one of the things I actually also thought about during the break. And it's kind of not directly related to clean architecture, but I think I came up with some ideas for how to progress ORDAO further and to serve more communities and how to scale it better, because I've been thinking about that for the last year or so or more, and it's been kind of a breakthrough. Yeah, and actually I was just thinking also about reading. I kind of knew about clean architecture, and I know the principles, know the general idea on which it is based, and roughly how to apply it, but it's something like I would like to go into deeper and actually read that book by Robert Martin.
Yeah, thanks, Das, for sharing more about clean architecture. And yeah, I've just watched a few videos so far, but I saw there was a book, and I'm interested in reading that too. I also pulled up some links, so I can share the link that you shared from the Clean Coder blog. I haven't actually read that blog article yet. I opened it, but I never got around to reading it. But I pulled that up, and some other things that I can go on screen share if it'd be useful to also further answer Zaal's question about clean architecture. And I saw Jose wrote something here. Feel free. I see you said Laundry Day too, so maybe you're just on audio. But Jose, would love to hear from you if you want to share any updates. And I see that you're sharing something about the roots of topics to this link. It's about the curation of structure, and the structure is fractal, so it became a complex equation when you see the whole forest. I suppose I can keep reading that, but Jose, if you want to unmute, then curious to hear what you've been up to over the break. And it's been a while since we've reconnected, and hopefully you've been able to grok the topic that we're talking about, since you kind of jumped in the middle. But I see you unmuted, so do you want to maybe continue what you're saying there, and also maybe just share anything that's on your mind related to Eden Fractal?
Hey, happy Thursday. Yeah, long time without connecting here. I just checked through the diagram on the blog that Tadas shared, and I wanted to share that I can like understand the roots of the topic of like clean architecture is about the curation of that structure, but then curation became somewhat something universal, that it's part of like structures, not only on web page but also social blogging, like the content we consume, and it start becoming something more of a complex thing when we think it in that, like in terms of like system theory, when we see like the web page, the clean architecture creation, but also the content creation side of things, and even the things you invest your time, like curation is key in terms of a creator. You also have to be a curator, and I think that applying that to other fields, like creating a web page and actually understanding what filters are you doing for your page or your project to be something, like you have to set the vector if you want your web page to move to somewhere. So you have to limit the web page so it can look like something, and I think that is applying this like in deductive mindset into the web page, but also content creation, content curation. How do we behave with the internet? And it goes a long way. In terms of being clean, I think that is the function of what I'm speaking to.
Mm-hmm. Good points. Thank you, Jose. Very, very interesting. That's kind of related to what I was thinking about with regards to applying these software development principles to knowledge work as well, in a similar way. I think you're comparing it or relating it or applying it to content creation and content curation.
Yeah, it's like applying it like to system theory and something autopoietic, thinking of creating a clean architecture in the sense of like who you are or what your project is, and then creating from it something that is itself and not something that looks like noise. And also doing a like maybe a separation between clean and noise as the things we are like seeing as a perspective. To then speak about clean architecture, we have to talk about noise architecture too. And I guess clean architecture becomes a topic to go and observe and appreciate, especially right now with like artificial intelligence and the accessibility to like create architectures to operate things. Also, the mindset of a coder is usually about synthesis. So I think it's a good like mindset, a conversation to have with people jumping into internet and technology. Like now it's a must for like all of us.
Great points. Thank you, Jose. Yeah, I agree. I think it's about like really organizing our minds and organizing things that we're building and creating and sharing with the world. And I think that I done some chats with AI about this, where I was kind of like exploring how clean architecture can be applied to knowledge management. And one of like the insights that I discovered that it made sense is like basically software development has been this field that's been developing for, I don't know, 50 years or something like that, and it's been in many cases very well funded, or at least more funded over the decades, and people have had to think in really clean architecture ways because code can easily break, and they have to coordinate amongst like, you know, dozens or thousands or hundreds of people like on the team, you know, like building Linux or building Microsoft Office or whatever it is. And so they have the need, like the software developers, to like develop these frameworks like clean architecture to organize all that thought in this collaborative way. But these same learnings that software developers found that apply to software also apply to knowledge work, also apply to content creation, also apply to
Yeah.
organizing our minds really on an individual level and on a
Yeah,
collective level
yeah.
as well.
It like a second brain when you put it in that way. It's like being able to like put in the outer a structure that is human coordination, and you have to be able to perceive it in order to also be able to paint it on a software or XYZ where you want to paint it through.
I agree. Yeah, and even more important with LLMs too, because LLMs can create a bunch of slop if it's not well organized. The Tadas here, have your hands up. Do you want to share something here?
Yeah, and the place where it also applies, where same principles can also be applied is contracts and any kind of bylaws or rules of community. I noticed, this is my experience, one in Eden Fractal that as I wrote some of the rules like for Eden plus Fractal and so on, natural language rule sets, and I realized like the same patterns, same practices that help you in software development really help you write those documents. And actually, Dan Larimer also mentioned that, and actually used some of the terms like encapsulation in his book More Equal Animals. So in my mind, lawyers, anyone who writes laws should be a software developer. Should learn about those patterns because they really give you a good background, and the same kind of principle applies to software development, that it has to be understandable by humans as well as functional.
Yep, I agree. And I think that as we're writing intent documents, we talked about writing a constitution for Eden Fractal, these kinds of same clean architecture principles will be especially helpful for us, and we can help model that for other people who write laws, as more laws get encoded in smart contracts too and can be encapsulated in like these modular kind of law libraries or law like modules in a way. I see Jose has his hands up. Would you like to share something, Jose?
Oh, yeah. I would like to talk about that topic. Like, lawyers should know code in order to do like law, and I would like to like also share another. Like, I really like that, and I want to bring like a topic to make like contrast, which is the thought currents of the indigenous communities in South America, in the Amazonian region. And then let's do also an axis point between Euclidean math and non-Euclidean math. So non-Euclidean math will be like a fractal, in which a square is connected to the circle and to the triangle, and all it's like became parts of a whole. That will be non-Euclidean math. And Euclidean math will be a square and then a triangle. Like, Euclidean math is like concrete figures, and non-Euclidean math allows for the like interconnection of figures for a fractal. So in that sense, Rome, 1,000 years old, it separates people from ownership, and then the thought alive currents in South America from the indigenous communities that remains. They think on a philosophy that anthropologists like encapsulated as indigenous perspectivism, in which what they consume, they are, what they relate, they are, and everything in the world is them. So the relationship of ownership and person in function of indigenous law is a fractal law that we cannot iterate with Roman law. So Roman law has to catch up in quantum too, in order to also work in the way that, for example, maybe Peru is working with giving rights to the bees, because in the sense of fractal law or indigenous perspectivism applied to Roman law, therefore non-Euclidean law. Bees, mountains, water, they will have rights and they will be owners to themselves. And they will have rights, the same as persons has rights. So there will be an entanglement relationship between what we believe is a square and us that are triangles. We will have a common ground in which we respect each other, the stone and the person, the bee and the person, the animals, the plants and the person, like the co-relationship in the sense that everything is one, and how to conserve it and how to preserve it, and then mixing that maybe with concepts that are like system theory, biology aligned theories, like autopoiesis, apply it to system theory. And I like this clean architecture, and I will add like another external layer that will go like for branding and communications of those windows of the web page, so it can be marketing that is effective, and somewhat there's a relationship between that outer circle and the entity circle, in which at the end that enterprise also has a branding and a voice they really want to have and communicate in a way, and that it has to be really aligned with the code. And there's a flux point in which that branding, it also rules over the UI and the features, but also it's aligned with the entity. It's like it's the storytelling, and the project itself is alive, and the products that comes from it, they come from the alive needs that people start understanding and perceiving through the coordination that they make.
All right, thank you, Jose. Do you mind, real quick, just you used the word, I think it was Euclidean, and I'm not very familiar with that word. Could you clarify what that word means?
Euclidean is a type of mathematics, Euclidean mathematics, and then you have non-Euclidean mathematics. So Euclidean mathematics, it's, I don't know how to explain it. It's a framework for analyzing physical systems based on axioms of Euclidean geometry. So Euclidean geometry is assuming a small set of intuitively appealing axioms on deducing many other propositions from this.
Okay. Very interesting. Thank you. I think I'll have to listen to some of this again to fully grok it. Thanks for thank you for sharing, Jose, and helping us draw the connections with these different laws in different societies, and with clean architecture and these different kinds of math. I'm curious, Tadas or Zaal, if you have any thoughts about the things that Jose shared here. Also, I have some other articles too and stuff to answer Zaal's prior question that I could go through. Maybe I'll just do that real quick while I have. Oh, actually, Zaal's re-entering. Feel free just to jump in, guys, if you have any thoughts. But maybe just while I'm here, I'll go ahead and just share these other things for Zaal too, about that I suppose might relate to things, or might provide some additional kinds of ways to understand clean architecture, as well as perhaps relate to some of the things that that Jose was just talking about, and how clean architecture can help improve laws in different societies, I suppose. Zaal, if you want to learn more about clean architecture, in addition to the blog that Tadas shared, there's also, Tadas had shared this GitHub repository, the updated version, which maybe I should show here, as this is like directly relevant to what Eden Fractal is using. This is the, I suppose, the core on-chain smart contract that Eden Fractal is using mostly for ORAC, and then ORDAO being the tool set for DAOs to use respect tokens. And this is how a lot of this conversation started, about the how the code base is inspired by the principles of clean architecture, and there's different OR types where there's like the orc client library for which I believe is used for the UIs on the client side, like on each person's computer or device. There's the OR node or type, which is good. I think I maybe introduced the OR type, so basically like the types of different parts of the layer. And then there's the front end GUI. So I don't fully understand it. So Tadas, feel free to jump in if there's some things I'm not explaining so well. But you can see here how like each basically one of these, I think these are different org types, which are the apps, the app-facing libraries, backend, domain model. They're all independent. No, I'm wrong about this. So Tadas has understood more about clean architecture than I have. I have watched these videos or some of these videos, and they're very useful to understand, but I'm still kind of like a novice. Also, this video is really good too. This wasn't just about clean architecture, but for you, Zaal, for somebody who's building AI, building with AI, this guy's got really good stuff in this video. It's an 18-minute long video. I got very inspired by this. Software fundamentals matter more than ever. And I started to like kind of curate some of this in my own Notion space. But anyway, maybe Tadas, I don't know if you want to jump in and share more about what I was wrong about ORDAO. I see Jose's unmuted too, so feel free to jump in, Jose. And I'm also curious to hear Tadas's thoughts about this as well.
I was checking a little more about this of Euclidean and non-Euclidean, and I had a mistake when I mentioned Euclidean and non-Euclidean, because I want to say Euclidean and fractal, because non-Euclidean, it's like the Earth shape in a like 3D space, and then Euclidean is like in a flat framework, but then fractal, you cannot measure it. So fractal is a fractal geometry. You have three: fractal geometry, non-Euclidean geometry, and Euclidean geometry. Like the best way to see these like concepts is by the graphics. And then the philosophy of indigenous perspectivism is aligned to fractal geometry rather than Euclidean geometry, which is the way like Roman law is able to be coded. So this is about mega diversity. Indigenous perspective exists, concretely speaking, physically speaking, in a soil that is topsoil full of mega diversity, even with animals that we still don't know. And there's a sense of unity and respect between the relationship of the humans over there, the natives over there, that is part of that like fractal geometry too. And then how do we update ourselves to legislate at least those regions in that way? It's a good question when it comes for governments looking to help them. It's more about understanding that they have a philosophic current that has 40,000 years old, rather than trying to legislate with them in a sense that is non-updated, you know? Like, they will have to, like, yeah, like, they have, like, the updated software in the sense that they, like, perceive in terms of fractal geometry.
Thanks, Jose. This is interesting. I'm understanding more of it now, and I never actually realized that there's a series on geometry, and fractal is one of those, in addition to the Euclidean, non-Euclidean, and then I guess maybe 20 others, like complex, convex, finite, and so forth, computational. So this is very interesting. Maybe one quick thing I'll share here that the things you were mentioning reminded me of is I had read the book called I think it's called Grassroots Economics, the book, and there's this website grassrootseconomics.org, which I'd share with Tadas, and I had met the guy who started this in ETH Denver last year, and yeah, he talks a lot about, like, the first chapter of the book is all about how indigenous tribes, a lot of their cooperating systems, so to speak, like, I think it is fairly related to what you're saying, where like the economic systems and also the governance systems of these tribes in many ways relate and mirror to the way that nature works. Like, for example, mycelium and trees and plants and stuff like that. They have this kind of fractal system.
It's like oral tradition, because they have oral tradition, and that oral tradition is the symbolic meaning of their local territory. Everything that they see is full of sense and full of message. and that happens with the language you are like molded with. So they behave like the bird that builds the nest, while the mom bird chants the male bird does the nest. That same way they build the basket on the nights. So so they start having this relationship in which the animals that they are surrounded with teach them something, and it's actually like that in the sense that we have been co-living with all these animals through the thousands of years, and they really had molded us or show us something. Only because we are in the city, like we don't see the jaguar as something real that you have to be alert because it can kill your dogs, as it happens on the jungle. There in the jungle, it's not only the shamanic spirit of the jaguar that gives you strength or something like that. It's actually somebody, and for them, that in indigenous perspectivism, everything you relate is yourself. Jaguar is somebody, it's someone. It's not an animal, and period. And it's a beautiful relationship, because then in order to have coordination with that animal, they look for that coordination, and that's why there are still jaguars there that are part of the chain that still has mega diversity, because they didn't kill everybody in order to be on that territory. They are for sure pest controllers, in the sense that if a jaguar comes to the community, they will kill it. But they are not out there killing jaguars for fun. They know it's their neighbor, and they know they have a relationship of now coming to the house of the community. And so they learn from them, and we do kind of mock when people hear in a more like Western code aligned language, learn from it. Of course, that doesn't happen in Thither. In Thither, they actually like encourage you to like participate into understanding beers or whatever. Like there are many careers that draws out of the shit, but in a more traditional sense, we are not like encouraged to relate with the world thinking that we are those things. We are teach in an Euclidean way. We are this and they are that, and in a sense, yes, we have a gravity center here, but yes, it's in the co-living that we have coordination, and yeah, it doesn't mean that you will have your house full of ants or rodents, but it means that you see from a transcendence point of view, everybody has a role to keep the jungle as beautiful as it is.
Thank you, Jose. You're here. Well, I think there's a lot of wisdom there that can help inform communities that are aiming to have better governance and fractal communities going forward. So I appreciate you sharing that, and I'm looking forward to continuing to explore how we can learn from practices of indigenous tribes and things that people have learned and kept in their minds and kept in stories over decades and hundreds of years and thousands of years and so forth, and take those learnings to help empower communities with Eden Fractal and with fractal governance. I believe that there's a lot of synergy between fractal governance and learning what people have already been implementing so far. I also want to bring it back too, because we have about 15 minutes left of this town hall, and one, I'm curious if there's anything we want to achieve in particular. This has been like very insightful discussion, but we've kind of just been on kind of like a nice exploration of clean architecture and now these principles that have inspired and helped cooperate these indigenous tribes.
Like how to have a clean fractal geometry structure.
Are you saying that's something that you think that we should aim to achieve during this call, or just something that you're trying to encapsulate what we're trying to do?
I think that to me is the synthesis of this conversation today. Like how to achieve a clean fractal geometry structure. Like that is the possibility of blockchain when you see like the rules that set us up to work in the function of hyperstructures, for example. Like hyperstructure is like fractal geometry, like perspective, because anybody can create their own like structure at the top of it, so it goes like a fractal. So how do we make it clean? Because if it's not clean, everybody is testing an app that is not working right. Like once it's cleaner and it knows what it is, it can fractalize cleaner. And I think that was the whole synthesis, because it's also about like acknowledging like the consume of the iteration at scale of all these tools. For the first time on Earth, we are doing it. So how we can deduct what it does before we inductively see the results of it and then learn from it. That's what changed the thing. And before I just want 30 seconds more. Today at 4 p.m. I have a Twitter space I will be co-hosting, and we will have a Giveth security project that is on the round. We are inviting Giveth projects to come. The space is called DeFi Roots. We want to invite people from all the corners of Web3, DAOs, NFTs, and DeFi to get to know their roots on crypto, what they are doing, and share with them about DeFi and know how they have been doing with DeFi tools, if they have been using any, and get to know about how DeFi can be regenerative. Yeah, super invited to come today at 4 p.m. And I would like even to explore to have Dan for a Thursday in the future.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you for letting us know. And yeah, I'm interested in joining one of those in the future. I appreciate you sharing those notifications that you're hosting these events with Giveth sometimes, and sometimes with different protocols in the blockchain space in the Optimism Factor group, and keep in touch with us and helping spread the word about security in DeFi and so forth. And also, I love to hear whenever you play music as well. I'm not sure if you're in the Eden Fractal Telegram group. I'm going to share the link here in case you're not, but you're very welcome to share the link in the Eden Fractal Telegram group if you'd like to help spread the word there as well. And also, I do want to bring it back to what Tadas shared too, because you mentioned, Jose, how one of the ways that you'd encapsulate or kind of describe this conversation is about how we need to use like to build clean fractal apps in a way so that the apps don't break, and so the apps will work well for people and also get the other benefits of this kind of clean architecture too. And Tadas, maybe 5-10 minutes ago, he had shared this link about the dependency inversion principle, which is a specific methodology for loosely coupled software modules. When following this principle, the conventional dependency relationships established from high-level policy-setting modules to low-level dependency modules are reversed, thus rendering high-level modules independent of the low-level module implementation details. I'm just kind of reading what he shared there, but I know when I spoke about the ORDAO repository, I kind of messed up because I wasn't sure exactly how to explain this. So, Tadas, I'm curious if you want to share anything more about this link that you shared about the dependency inversion principle, or maybe correct and help us better understand the architecture of the ORDAO repository, or if there's anything else you want to add in this conversation to the things we've been discussing.
Just was responding. You mentioned something about these are different OR types. OR types is one specific library in that, and I just wanted to say that it's not like ideal example of clean architecture the way it is described in a blog article, for example, the way it was first introduced, but it's inspired by it, and I guess I share that the dependency inversion principle because I think it's one of the main principles that drives this whole clean architecture thing. The most important, I think, principle, and that's what I'm utilizing here a lot.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Yeah, see, it says it's inspired by it. I hadn't got the chance. It's on my to-do list to read this more thoroughly. I kind of like, when I first started, I was just kind of confused, and then I was like, okay, I got to go read this or watch some videos, and then just watching the videos inspired me to understand some of the basic principles of clean architecture, but I still have to more thoroughly understand your design here with OR types and OR client and OR node. But I appreciate, even if it's not, the exact representation of the perfect clean architecture, it's going in that direction and it's inspired by it. And I think that's something to strive for, and make it cleaner over time. And maybe when we get a chance to read the book, and as we continue to work on the app development as well as the development of the intent documents and constitution documents and so forth, we can continue learning more about clean architecture and continue making it more clean, building our apps in a more clean manner, and more deeply integrating this philosophy to clean up ORDAO, so to speak, and clean up all the things we're doing. All right, Tadas, do you have any comments on that? I see you started saying something.
No, just agreeing.
Okay, cool. Just shared the link for you there again. Jose, sorry that the link wasn't working. We have 8 minutes left in this call. We can maybe go a bit longer if we want to push back the respect game slightly. But basically it's closing up in our kind of brainstorm session here pretty soon. So we should start wrapping up. I'm curious if there's anything we want to achieve, like I asked before, in these last 8 minutes. I suppose one thing that I wanted to bring up in this call, and maybe just see what you guys think about it, is the schedule going forward for Eden Fractal and Eden Town Hall. So when we set out to do this spring break, I had said that we had a lot of discussions at the length of spring break, and I was saying how a longer spring break would be helpful to focus on nonprofit as well as some personal stuff, and it was a very productive spring break, as I was saying before, but I still haven't done that yet. And I do find that one of the things that happened to me in the prior season was that and it's kind of related, I guess, a bit to what Tadas you were saying. I don't know if it was before we started recording or after we started recording, but like Tadas, you were saying how when you like to focus on fractals, you like to focus fully on fractals, and then when when you're doing other stuff, you like to focus fully on that, so you can like go all at it. And I remember last half of the season mentioning how like I felt like my brain was scattered in a way, because like one week we talk about firmament, and then I'd get like super into firmament that week, and I'd write it and I'd explore all this stuff, and the next week we talk about like respect trees, and I get super into that and like think about that all week. And so I wonder what should be the schedule going forward. Should we return to the previous schedule that we had? One idea that we had was that if the break wasn't long enough for our goals, then we could take a longer break. The Eden Fractal anniversary, 4-year anniversary, is coming up in 1 month, approximately 1 month and 2 days, I think it actually is. So one idea that I had was that we could potentially, for the time being, not meet for the 2-hour town halls on the off week between respect games, and just do like a bi-weekly respect game in town hall, as a way that I could be able to focus on the nonprofit specifically. And like I'm just a little bit concerned that like there's a lot to do basically, and I want to be able to close up on that task. And if we start focusing and opening up all these different topics about like there's a lot of stuff we need to do. Like I love the discussions that we had about firmament and respect trees and constitution and stuff like that. But personally, I think I'd like to kind of like take one thing at a time and be able to finish up on the current things I'm working on with the nonprofit before like diving deeply into that. But at the same time, I want to make sure that I suppose whatever Eden Fractal needs and whatever you guys think is best, that we also provide space for that. So yeah, I'm just curious what you guys think. I see Zaal sharing thumbs up, and I think and confetti and stuff like that. So I appreciate the emojis, Zaal. But yeah, I'm curious what you guys think. And I see Jose, you have your hands up, so we can get to you in a bit too. But I want to make sure we have time for this topic as well before we close at the town hall, and then see what everybody thinks about the schedule going forward. Whether we should maintain the schedule that we had in the first half of the season, or whether we should change it up, or I suppose just what you guys think in general about what I shared there and what we should do going forward.
As I said at the beginning of the season, I think that meeting in the off weeks, that extra town hall, I wasn't. I think we should schedule it as needed. Last season, before the break, I mean, we ended up just having it every week. For me, I don't see I think we should first we would need first. So if a need arises to discuss something more, then let's schedule it. If there is uh, no need, then if there is no topic that we absolutely need to discuss next week, then don't schedule it yet. So I'm up for more flexible schedule where we don't commit to schedule and then try to come up with topic. Instead, just to come up with wait until when need arises for more discussion and then schedule it as needed.
Okay, sounds good. And so you think that a good approach then is basically just not having on the schedule for next week, or not having like automatically on the schedule every other week, and then we just kind of like determine and opt in whenever it's decided to be useful, and then or like I suppose not just useful, but like I suppose worth scheduling and important to schedule at the time. And then at some point I do think it'll be helpful to have the weekly meetings again. I think that was very productive, so we can just find the right time if there is a time, I don't know, maybe in weeks or months or whatever it is that we want to start just putting that on the schedule for constantly having those or consistently having those town halls again. But until then, we just don't have the schedule, and we can kind of just opt in the week before if we want to. Do you think that's a good approach to do? And so for next week, unless something comes up, then we won't have an Eden Town Hall?
Yeah, I'm personally going week by week. A long time in practice, so I'm okay not having it next week, and then we'll see.
Sounds good. I agree. I'm curious if Zaal or Jose, you guys have any thoughts about this topic specifically. I'll also bring it back to you, Jose, in case you have another topic on your mind. But first, I want to just give some space for this topic and see if anybody has any further thoughts about this scheduling. I suppose I think Zaal was supportive of it before. And is there something you want to say, Jose?
I'm good to any time. I don't know where I find the link to the Luma. I think it was on Twitter, and I decided to join in, to sync with you, Dan, and mention the DeFi roots space. Also, maybe an update I can share from my end, which have been doing music on Web3 as a lifestyle for doing social impact and impacting in my life too here in Caracas, Venezuela. I did an impact concert with friends on April 22, which was the Earth Day, and we had like 10 musicians from Venezuela that I booked. And we invited people to donate to Giveth projects aligned to Earth, but especially we wanted to get funds for the Watuha community, the community we work with here in the Amazon rainforest. And we were asking for $300 for a solar panel, and we managed to find 200 of those $300, which was an amazing milestone for the music event. We are keeping them every 22, an impact concert aligned to the monthly Earth Day, open to alignment with other communities, and still looking for a cohesive coordination with the other participants. But the intention of hosting it on the 22 for all of us is right there. So it's slowly, I think that through co-living in that idea and wanted it to make it better, it's gonna be good. We already have 4 concerts this year, once every month, and the intention is to raise awareness, be a space for education, and have music in function of education rather than entertainment, which doesn't mean it's not entertaining.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you for the updates, Jose, and thanks for joining the Eden Fractal group and sharing what you're working on. Encourage people to check it out, and always appreciate you sharing music and also about blockchain education, like I mentioned before. You mentioned before that you weren't sure exactly where to find the link, and you found it on Twitter. So yeah, appreciate you finding it on Twitter and joining us here, and I'll also share the link in the Telegram chat where you can subscribe on our Luma calendar or the Eden Creators Luma calendar to RSVP for Eden Fractal and Eden Town Hall weeks, which happen at least bi-weekly, and then you can join it right there, and I have it up on the screen so you can get email reminders. The town hall will be up there too. We usually update it right after the event. And then also in t.me/EdenFractal, which you found and you're in, we also share Telegram messages and updates there. And if you ever can't find that, then EdenFractal.com has a link to the Eden Fractal Telegram group towards the bottom, as well as the Twitter profile where we at least repost all those invitations. So thanks for sharing that. And yeah, that's also the Azos Finance tweet that you shared right there. I have that up on the screen too. So Giveth doing a lot of great work in facilitating crypto donations. So appreciate you sharing that. Also, we are at time now for the town hall. So I want to I suppose one of the things that I didn't have clarity on, so I suppose for next week we won't have a scheduled town hall, but we will kind of just play it by ear. And if anybody has any thing that they want to discuss about fractal governance and Eden Fractal specifically, then just feel free to let us know in our Telegram group, t.me/EdenFractal. You can just see t.me/EdenFractal, a community dedicated to optimizing collective decision making through collaborative research, development, education, gamification, community engagement. So anything that's related to those topics are welcome in our Telegram group. And I suppose we'll play it by ear for future scheduling of town halls. And I suppose also in the last half of the season, we're doing a lot of synchronous spectries games to schedule topics. But I suppose Tadas, or if anybody else wants to get one of those games up in the Eden Fractal Telegram group, then we'll do so. But otherwise, we'll just have just kind of informal discussions like this at town hall. And maybe one thing I'll note too, because I know that Timothy had provided some feedback last week, or not last week, it was like 2 months ago, but he was a bit confused about how we could schedule these town halls. So the Eden Fractal Council didn't need to vote on this aspect about when the town halls are scheduled, because it's kind of just like an extra event that's hosted by the Eden creators team, myself. So the Eden plus Fractal process would need to approve any changes to like this specific Eden Fractal meeting with the town hall right beforehand, because technically we could have approved proposals over the past hour as the Eden plus Fractal Council, which me and Tadas are members of, but that wasn't necessary in this process because this extra Eden Town Hall that happens every other week isn't under like the jurisdiction of that, so to speak. So just to put that out there as some information, because currently another thing that I've been meaning to do that I didn't actually get time to do over the break at all is like update the Eden Vector website, and there's some governance processes that aren't well explained or updated there, so I just figured that might be helpful in case anybody is curious about those things. If anybody has any last comments before we wrap up the town hall, then please let us know now, and please try to keep it pretty short if so, because we're ready to dive into the Eden Fractal Respect game now. So I'll pause for a moment, and then I can kick us off with a little intro to the Respect game in a moment when we're ready. All right. I suppose I'll take that as a signal to move on. I see you still have your hands up, Jose, so if there's anything else you wanted to share, then feel free. But otherwise, I'll just thank everybody for a great town hall. It was wonderful to Zaal and Jose to reconnect and come back for our I want to say the word sojournment. I don't know if that's a word. I don't know if that's applicable if we did sojourn. But we certainly reunited though, and it was really good catching up with you guys and learning about clean architecture and learning about governance of indigenous tribes and exploring ORDAO and exploring scheduling, all sorts of stuff like that. So thanks again for the great conversation, guys. Really appreciate it, and really appreciate all that each one of you are doing to help support communities and help support organizations, help optimize collective decision making throughout society. I'm really excited to continue on in our journey as we head towards our 4th year of Eden Fractal, and I'm excited for the next steps, and I believe that we'll do really big things soon. So thanks, guys, and thanks everybody for watching as well.